What's popping, y'all? Looks like it was a wrap before it could even start, because the petition that Drake made with his Frozen Moments company, where he was going to potentially sue, the lawsuit wasn't filed yet. He withdrew that petition and dismissed the case against UMG and Spotify in the state of New York. So this was brought out by Swonosphere. So they said, Swonosphere exclusive, the withdrawal says that they met today and they have come to an agreement. The Texas case is still pending. And they show some documents. Another individual gave some more detail, which is great detail given here. He says the discontinuance means the case will not move forward in court as filed. The withdrawal suggests Frozen Moments, Drake, and UMG reached a private resolution, or Drake's legal team reassessed the legal merits of their petition. Spotify basically says, that all sounds good. And then you've got some people tweaking out in the replies. I'm glad they were all addressed in this one thread, because even in the document, you can see it says the petitioner, this is Drake, hereby voluntarily discontinues the filing of this petition without costs to any party, which means that Drake didn't pay anything, UMG didn't pay anything, and Spotify did not pay anything. So nobody settled. There was supposed to be a court date towards the end of January. That didn't happen. We don't know the reason for it. And then I quote tweet this. You should follow me at the Mind of HY, and said, Drake stands saying UMG paid him to drop this, and Kendrick stands saying they bullied him to drop this. God, please rewind hip-hop to just a year ago where fans weren't behaving like pop stans. I mean, this is like when they're like, Ariana didn't chart. Oh, she's a flop. And it's just Nicki stans. It's like, what? Why do you guys even have a problem with each other? I'm talking about the fans. The fans shouldn't really have a problem with each other for things that are I'm not going to go into detail on that. But this is where I've seen Drake stans just start to, they're like scurrying around like little rats. You've got some people saying, yeah, man, we're about to see a big Drake deal. Yeah, they knew that he was about to take them on, so they gave him a bag. And even though it says without costs to any party, they for sure threw him something behind the scenes. Really? You really think that a corporation is scared of litigation, extended litigation, and the costs that's associated with that to an individual, in this case Drake? Do you really think that's the case? Or, I don't know the reason, to be honest. The reason could be a multitude of things. I do think PR-wise, it doesn't look good on Drake. But the point that I really, really want to address, because this was the most irritating point that Drake stans tried to pull off, and Drake even tried to pull off in the DMs, that leaked a couple of days ago with that guy, Blake Griffith, where Drake said, I'm about to take on the entire industry and make that building safer for everybody else, this and that. He took on this torch mantle where he's about to be like, I'm Moses, guys, we're about to split the sea. The guy basically walked towards the sea and dipped out. So what is it there? And then some guy tries to quote this and says, remedial brain capacity. If Drake can take UMG and Spotify to court and strong-arm them into settling and giving them a massive bag, that raises the rate for every artist in the industry and gives artists a blueprint to challenge behind-the-scenes effery. I don't think I've ever seen such a wild conspiracy theory. A really good interview that you guys should watch is the DatPiff founder on No Jumper. Great interview. He talks about finances. He talks about behind the scenes. And even this guy explains, he's like, this industry, this stuff just isn't profitable. So, sure, while music artists feel like they're getting screwed, Spotify is not really making money like that. There's revenue, but then you got to pay the rights and the shareholders and the licensing fees, all this other stuff. So it's a nightmare dealing with music. It's not like this is just, money is just flowing out of everywhere. And keep in mind, they're really not selling product like that like it used to be with CDs. So they're relying on streams, and streams are fine for old albums that were really, really successful because new revenue is being generated from them. But for these new albums that cost just as much to make, maybe a little bit, you don't have to press up the CDs, but music isn't really cheaper to make now. Not much, right? Especially you got to pay the producer, you got to do all this other stuff. So I don't understand this whole, they're going to take them out for the behind the scenes stuff. Drake, I don't know. I can't say the reasoning. There could be a multitude of different reasons. I do think the PR angle is bad. I think his legal team told him, hey, this is not going to look good on a PR perspective because maybe they might pull out all the data on how they use this stuff on your behalf, which we know for a fact they did it on Drake's behalf. 100%. Like, there are certain songs by Drake that were absolutely unavoidable. And whether it was not legal or illegal, but whether they assisted him and boosted him and didn't boost others, it is what it is. But the biggest thing about this is that he looked like a sore loser because Not Like Us was genuinely a hit. It's just ridiculous to try and say otherwise. Like, everyone was listening to that song at that moment. It was a gigantic moment. It lasted very long. It's still up there. And sure, maybe they boosted it a little bit, but this whole conspiracy, Drake is trying to say that Spotify and UMG wanted to devalue him and sell and boost Kendrick at the same time. I think they probably realized, hey, maybe it's in our best interest to boost Kendrick now, but I don't think that means that they didn't like Drake or they wanted to ruin Drake. I think it was probably just business. Was their money paid out? I don't know. This is one of those moments where it's better to just say, I don't know, and sit and we'll wait to see if Drake gets a new deal. Because I don't think they earned much on this Drake deal. Like, if Drake got $400 million a couple of years ago, what has Drake dropped since then? Do you think that's even generated $100 million yet? And sure, they're probably, with their actuaries, running the numbers on, okay, if he drops this many albums and they do this amount, how much will this boost his old streams and catalog, and how will that raise the value, and will that make sense for us financially? But I don't see how $400 million can make sense for any artist, to be honest, right now. Especially when it was only 3 years. How many projects was that? Now, the touring deal, oh, I completely understand that. But I'm glad we can leave this in the past. I don't want Kendrick, because the thing is, Kendrick stans are coming after Drake now. But you guys were upset with him filing the petition. And then when he withdraws the petition, you want to call him a punk for withdrawing the petition and then saying that you bullied him to withdraw the petition. So what is it? They'll probably just say, oh, he should have never filed the petition in the first place. But it's like, okay, well, the past is in the past. I don't know if this is a good outcome or a bad outcome. The whole thing for me is this was always about Drake and his relationship with UMG. Nobody else. And anybody that tried to attach it to, and I think it was in part the loss to the loss of the beef, that had to play some sort of a role because he's talking about Kendrick and the Not Like Us song in relation to UMG. Not that they were de-boosting his music, that they were boosting this other guy. But the narrative that I really wanted killed, which got killed today, which is a fact that we can address, is that Drake was trying to be the head that was going to help all of these other artists and make sure that their deals were right and make sure that they weren't getting screwed over. That's never been the case. That hasn't been the case with Ye. I don't even know where that was the case. Maybe Taylor Swift tried to run the same playbook where she held her music off of streaming platforms, but I don't know if streaming platforms started to pay out more per stream or not after that Taylor Swift incident. Because if that was the case, then she did affect everyone else positively. Ye and Drake, they've just been working in their own self-interest. And I'm not hating on them for that. But when you try to it's like Jay-Z, right? Jay-Z, he tries to make it seem like he just cares about the community and underserved people and all of this. But really, Jay-Z cares about Jay-Z. And that's fine. It's just that when people like Drake and Ye, who are a lot less, they have a lot less finesse than Jay-Z does. And then we see the moves that they make, and whenever they get what they want, they toss that whole movement that they tried to make themselves the leader of to the side. Then we really got to look around like, yo, you really thought you could play us like that? Now, obviously, I'm not getting played like that, but some people really thought, hey, if you're a Drake stan, look at yourself in the mirror and point at yourself and stare at yourself like the meme and say, I am stupid, if you believe that this guy was going to be the leader of artists and make sure that people's deals were better and they were getting paid how much they were worth, and he didn't just care about himself and his own career. You are really a dunce. And I don't think there's anything wrong with if you had the perspective of, yeah, man, they hoed Drake. Drake deserves to go after them for what they did to him. That's different. Now, if you had that opinion, that's okay. Like, it's fine. Whatever happened, happened. But if you had the opinion that, and you genuinely believed that he was trying to take on UMG for the good of anybody else, then you are a fool. I can't say it any other way. But I'm probably going to read more into this for my own sake. Will I talk about it? Possibly, possibly not. At this point in time, people are going to try to pull some sort of details to get behind the scenes info, but the only people that know are those closest to Drake and those in UMG's camp or UMG's team, which they're not leaking anything. So yeah, we're just going to have to wait. Just as I had damn near finished recording this, we get new developments in the Drake UMG saga that's even more disappointing than I could ever imagine. So while Drake withdrew that petition, he decided to file a federal lawsuit against UMG for defamation, and he's suing them. And he filed this in federal court in New York, and it's after Not Like Us. Now, the only plaintiff in this case, or actually the defendant in this case is UMG, plaintiff is Drake. And this is so sad, man. First, they start this off. Now, I've got the lawsuit. This is almost 100 pages. I'm not going to go through this. You guys have jobs. You want me to sum this up as much as possible. So I will sum it up for you. And we're just going to go through the introduction. So the introduction, they quote, "A single lie can destroy a reputation of integrity. And while it takes years to build a reputation, it can be ruined in 5 minutes." And in this, they start off rip in this lawsuit, which, in the middle of the night, a group of assailants shot at Drake's security guard, right? And then after that, they talk about another guy later on digging through with his hands to get into Drake's property. He got into his property and then yelled some slurs whilst nothing happened. After that, he's saying, so another break-in attempt happened 3 days in a row. And then in the 2 decades, this is, I quote, "In the 2 decades leading up to May of 2024, although Drake was constantly in the public eye, nothing remotely like these events had ever happened to him or his family. But these events were not coincidental. They immediately followed and were proximately caused by UMG's actions leading up to and on May 4, 2024. UMG is the world's largest music company and also the music company that has represented Drake for more than a decade. Yet on May 4, 2024, UMG approved, published, and launched a campaign to create a viral hit out of a rap track that falsely accuses Drake of being a PDF and calls for violent retribution against him, even though UMG enriched itself and its shareholders by exploiting Drake's music for years." Exploiting. After, man, the amount of shout-outs that Drake was dropping to Lucian, but now he's exploited. Of course, his lawyer's drafting this up, but still. "And knew that the salacious allegations against Drake were false, UMG chose corporate greed over the safety and well-being of its artists." And this artist. This is not about anybody else. "In controversy, UMG saw an opportunity, seized it, and continued to fan the flames even after learning of the incitement to violence on May 7th and 8th, along with unrelenting vitriol towards Drake that followed." Remember when this first happened? Academics, who's close to Drake, at least gets information from him, said this had nothing to do with Not Like Us and Kendrick Lamar. However, it was the reason why Drake was going to put that stuff on a pause. Now, this lawsuit, filed by Drake, they are trying to attach these two events. Well, not just these two events, but the multiple things that happened at Drake's home with the song Not Like Us. So I would love to have this addressed. Which one is it? Did Drake lie to academics again, and that did have something to do with Kendrick? Which I don't think it did. Kendrick is not sending people to shoot at Drake's crib. That's not happening. So we know that's not true. But Drake is using it like an absolute Karen to try and go after UMG because he didn't like the way that they played. Moving onwards from that, this is just so sad by Drake. It's mind-blowing because Drake is a battle rap fan. And in battle rap, they say the wildest stuff. Drake tried to portray Kendrick Lamar as a guy that beats women, his own wife. Now, we will say that didn't work, but he attempted to do that. And then some people say, well, his team was just better at cleaning it up. Okay, and what the hell? Maybe Drake's team should be as good, because this sets a bad precedent. And if Drake is talking about, protecting artists, the safety of artists, if people are going to start scrutinizing lyrics, suing over lyrics, and then bringing lyrics into not only lawsuits, but potential legal proceedings, what kind of precedent does that set? Because it was Drake himself who is now complaining about violence being wished on him. And Kendrick Lamar did say, "I wish you would die." We don't know if he really means that. This is music, man. This is art. his boy, Young Thug, that he was shouting free Thug, he done enough time. Young Thug was talking about shooting people's crib up at YFN Lucci and however many crimes he was doing and all the violence that he was doing. So you want to free Thug. You don't want them to use lyrics against Thug, YSL case, that is like all damn near all wrapped up now, and Thug took his plea. Yet now you're complaining about what happened to you when there's no legal ramifications. You know, or we should at least know, Kendrick Lamar didn't have anything to do with this, or that's what you put out via academics. And if Kendrick Lamar did have something to do with that, then are you telling on Kendrick Lamar? Is this quote unquote snitching? Don't even want to get into that conversation because it makes me want to bang my head against the wall. You ever get your wisdom teeth plucked out and ain't take painkillers? It's like that kind of banging inside your head whenever we venture there. And I don't want to venture there because we don't need to. This just makes Drake look like an absolute... It describes him the way that Rick Ross was describing him, which is everything's all cool when it benefits you, but suddenly now you want to change up the rules of the game. Yo, this hip-hop stuff, they used to say wilder stuff than we could ever imagine. And yeah, some of these rumors stuck with Drake, but I don't think it's something that he couldn't just wait out. If Drake just waited this out a year, this whole PDF thing, man, it would have blew by. But now he's trying to make it seem like they're trying to ruin him with this. And then I just think the most distasteful part of all of this is using these violent incidents, which we wouldn't wish on Drake. Even Kendrick stands, if we keep it a buck. They definitely didn't want Drake's security guard to get shot. That's just an innocent individual doing his job. And the ones that are, even the ones that are a little bit insane, I don't think they wish harm on Drake either. Actual physical harm, people going into his home, etc. So you can't really compare that. So there's nobody here that wanted that to happen to Drake, yet here he is trying to paint this narrative, and it's a lame narrative, really. People don't mess with record labels, and someone taking on UMG is something that the majority of people would support. They would support damn near any artist that was going, but the way he's going about it and why he's going about it is just, it's one of the saddest moments by a rapper that I've seen in my entire lifetime. I don't think I've ever seen something worse than this. And this is just more material for not only Kendrick, but Kendrick stans. You're going after lyrics, dog? Defamation? In art? In music? Like, did you defame Meek Mill? You definitely hurt Meek Mill's opportunity to sign a new deal when you turned him into a clown and a laughingstock. Could Meek have sued you for defamation? Because the whole thing with defamation is it impacts his potential in negotiations, making money, etc. You think, oh, is that a world tour, your girl tour, Meek Mill becoming the face of being clowned by major companies, by hip-hop fans, by pop fans, by everybody on the internet for 2+ years? That didn't hurt Meek Mill in some capacity, money-wise, and opportunities, and his stock going down? It definitely changed the perception of Meek Mill. So what, did Meek Mill have a right to sue you for defamation? Now, some will say, well, it's a little bit different. He didn't accuse Meek Mill of anything that Kendrick did. But the whole point is not what he accused him of, or what he didn't even accuse him of it. He dropped it in a track. That's different from accusing someone of something publicly. This is music. This is art. It's supposed to be a realm that we can't touch. Same reason why, and this is why it looks even better for Kendrick Lamar, because Kendrick, he was the one that stepped up when they were trying to take R. Kelly music and XXXTentacion music and a bunch of these other artists that were quote-unquote problematic with their lyrics and their personal lives or whatever crime they may have been accused of off of Spotify and these streaming platforms and playlists. And Kendrick Lamar and TDE at the time said, nah, we're threatening to pull ourselves because we support artists' freedom to expression and separating the artist from the music. So this just strengthens that position for Kendrick Lamar even more, because now he fought that fight for other people. Now he's got to fight that fight for himself, or UMG will be doing it inadvertently via Drake. So Drake is damn near acting like Spotify was, and these Karens, woke people, whatever you want to call it, trying to cancel somebody because of a track. And even though Kendrick Lamar isn't named in this, it's still about Kendrick Lamar and this beef. And this is just going to drag something on that Drake should have just put behind him. But let me know what you guys think in the comments, man. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. This actually disappointed me by Drake. I'm not going to lie. I thought he'd have some sense. Like, is this about, like, is money that bad? I don't know, man. Thank you for watching. Peace.